participants, and that both participants are effectively competing. And this competition does, now I'm going to take it away from the drug example, and we'll just do academic, which is the stuff that I like. So there is a sense in which, and I'll give you a perfect example, a real world example. My Nietzsche series now is, I don't know, 200 something videos in. And after I conclude in the next day or two, maybe more, maybe 2 or 3, in the next few days, less than a week, this lecture series, because, you know, my goal is to do 8 to 10 hours, and I'm getting close to that number now. So once I conclude this, I'm going to break for 2 days, veg out on some video games, come back, and I'm going to do Nietzsche. Right? So I'm going to do like 12 hours of Nietzsche before like the beginning of February, hopefully. Right? So I'm doing my Nietzsche lecture series, and I marvel at the fact that people actually watch it. I never thought going into the series that people would actually take. Why in the world would you, on your own time, when you don't have to do this? I mean, I don't have to do this. Neither of us have to do this, which is what makes the relationship so cool. Why would you, on your own time, sit down and subject yourself to the stress that I'm creating? You're gonna have to buy the book. You're gonna have to watch me talk for 50 hours. You're gonna have to print off the notes, and then like, why would you do that? Other people, given the exact same environmental stressors, would run away from that obligation. I don't want to do that. You're not going to get a degree from me. You're not going to get anything except for knowledge of power. But for some people, that stress is exactly what they want in their life, right? And unfortunately for them, or fortunately for them, depends on how you look at it, I'm the type of person to provide that stress in the world, right? Because I recognize the type of individual that excels on that stress, which is precisely why my YouTube channel will never be a rock star channel. I'll never have big viewers and big numbers, but I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it to locate those people who will spend 50 hours watching a series, right? That's insane. It would be awesome for me to have a discussion with you all, those of you who do that subjugate yourself to that, because for the life of me, I have to ask myself realistically, Jason, if I wasn't who I am now, and I was John Doe on the street, and I stumbled across me, would I sit through and watch all of that? Part of me says yes, part of me is like, I don't know. It's a lot of information, it's a lot of stress, right? So some people will readily accept that stress, incorporate it, and excel. Other people see that as an intimidating force, and they run away from it. Now, it's not that I'm trying to be intimidating, but it's the nature of the discourse. So you recognize that the stressor is exactly the same. 50 hours of Nietzsche, which is going to be longer. It's going to be much longer than that. By the time I'm done, it's probably going to be 100 plus hours. That's an intimidating thing to try and ingest. It's an extremely intimidating thing to try and ingest. But it really is a matter of perspective. It's how you look at all of that work that really transforms the nature of your relationship to the stressor. So you have to recognize that any stressor, and this is the point now, and I hope I get you, because this is the key, right? Any stressor serves the possibility of creating an oppositional relationship to any individual, right? That should make sense, right? It's a very technical bit, but hopefully I walked you through that gradually enough to make sense. Any stressor, right? Come on. Stressor X, or environmental factor. Stressor X, environmental factor X, immediately, in and of itself. Now we're getting theoretical, and this is what I'm saying. Somebody's got to do this research, right? Somebody's got to write this. So write it, whoever. You'll get publications and tenure and praise and all that other stuff. I don't want any of that, right? So the idea is participant 1, participant 2 is exposed to exactly the same conditions. This allows participant 1 to flourish, and the same stressor within participant 2, they flee, they don't excel, which is not to say that this person won't excel with some other stressor, right? So there might be some other stressor. Why? Just so that I'm clear, right? And then we have exactly the same people. Participant 1, participant 2, and where participant 1 was able to excel, given these environmental factors, these stressors, X, that person might not excel, given some new set of stressors and so on, right? So it's not, this is important, right? It's absolutely essential you get this in your head and an image of it too, so that it'll stick when you're doing your research. Yeah, I might not be the type of person when trying to learn how to play the piano or the guitar that will excel. I've looked at sheet music forever, I just don't get it. I'm not going to do that. Where someone else sees the sheet music and they recognize, oh no, I can do this. This is what I was made to play the guitar. I was made to play the piano. I can process this information. And I flee from any attempts at this point in my life to try and learn to play an instrument. Though I'm absolutely fascinated with people who can play instruments, right? I'm not looking for that stressor in my life. However, give me a hard math problem, give me a hard linguistic problem, give me some esoteric, philosophical thing I have to process. That's the stuff that I love to do, right? Each of us relates differently to different stressors, right? And what's really, really cool about really, really good qualitative research is identifying the process in which, the conditions in which individuals are able to flourish or not, given the same environmental factors, the same stressors, right? So for me, just amazing implications from that, right? So the proper course of action, that is what one should do, isn't a universal constant, right? And I read the rest of it, but I just wanted to reiterate that point, right? It's not a universal constant. It is case specific. It's stressor specific. It's environmental condition specific. It's participant specific. It's a very specific relationship, right? And what we want to do is first identify the condition that we're interested in. For example, those employees who leave the job and never come back in the middle of the job, right? So we have a homogeneity among our participants, and then we try to identify those. Is it the case that the stressors were homogeneous, or was it heterogeneous? If it was heterogeneous, findings are going to be more difficult to interpret. If it was homogeneous, landmark research, grant money through the wazoo, you've done some great stuff, right? But we have to assess that. Not to say that if you find out that your stressors are heterogeneous, it just makes it more difficult to understand why. So that's essential. Okay. Next part is the focus of research.